Out front tonight, Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Speier, a member of the Intelligence Committee. Thank you for being with me. Of course, you know, we've now learned the full Intelligence Committee is going to be able to view, the intelligence documents that Devin Nunes saw at the White House. Have you seen them yet?
I have not, but I will be.
And are you comfortable with the time? Has there been any sort of a delay?
No, I think we'll be able to look at the documents. Again, let's remember that these documents are part of a wild goose chase that does nothing to do with the charge that we have been given to investigate the Russian intervention in our elections and whether or not the Trump campaign was in fact coordinating with the Russians.
But just to make sure I understand, do you anticipate seeing them today or over the weekend, or when will you see them?
No, I won't see them until I return to D.C. after the 2-week break.
Oh, okay. So I mean, in other words, so from your point of view, they're not that important, obviously.
Certainly, they're important on some level, but they are not critical to our investigation at this point.
Now, Congresswoman, President Trump spoke about the investigation yesterday to the New York Times. I know you're well aware of what he said, but I want to read one part and quote, "The Russia story is a total hoax. There has been absolutely nothing coming out of that, but what various things led into it was the story that we're talking about, the Susan Rice. What's happened is terrible." Congresswoman, President Trump also said Susan Rice, who of course was President Obama's national security advisor, may have committed a crime. He said he thinks she did, by requesting the identities of Trump associates who were incidentally swept up in legal surveillance. Rice, as you know, has denied any wrongdoing. Do you believe her categorically?
You know, I believe her, but it's irrelevant whether or not I believe her. I think what's important to point out is what CIA former director Michael Hayden said. What she did was legal, appropriate, and, what more do we need at this point? Let's be clear. The president is very quick to lash out at people and call them criminals. I mean, that to me speaks volumes of someone who is frankly unhinged. The FBI and all of the 17 intelligence committees and entities within our government has already said that they believe with very high confidence that the Russians intervened in our elections. For the president to now say that the Russia connection is a hoax is a lie, is just false. And he is doing himself and the American people a great disservice by fostering that kind of a position.
Now, we have made very clear that unmasking a name, requesting to see who was actually involved in the legal surveillance is not the same thing as actually leaking it to the press, right? Those are two different things. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, though, Congresswoman, makes this a claim, and I quote them. She is responsible, referring to Susan Rice, for unmasking a U.S. citizen, which made that name more widely disseminated across the government and thus could have been more easily leaked by someone else. Michael Flynn lost his job as Mr. Trump's national security advisor because of leaks. Do you think the Wall Street Journal has any bit of a point when it comes to the unmasking question?
So I actually think they don't have a point, because my understanding of unmasking, if in fact something is unmasked, it's determined by the agency that provided the intelligence to unmask it, and it is unmasked to that specific individual and that individual only. So it is not widely distributed across the government. Again, this is a wild goose chase, and it is unrelated to the president's original statement on a Saturday morning when he said that the President Obama had wiretapped him. He also basically accused the president of committing a crime. I mean, at some point, the president has got to recognize that when he speaks, the country and the world listens, and you cannot spew out vitriol and you can't spew out falsehoods on a continuous basis and retain credibility.
All right.